Hello everyone and welcome to Learn Chinese Now. Now someone commented and asked us to do a video about Chinese grammar. So here's a video explaining a few grammar points, how to put together sentences in Chinese and how it might be different to English or whatever other languages you might speak. So Karen, what's our first point?
Okay, so to start off with something very basic, the simple structure of subject, verb, object. So if I were to say, I look at you, Ben, I would say, 我看你. So
now,
我 is the subject,
yeah.
看 is the verb, and object is 你, you.
And so that's actually the same structure as English. I look at you, 我看你. But a different structure to some other language, for example, Japanese and German, where the verb actually comes at the end of the sentence. So in this aspect, this kind of structure where you place verbs in a sentence, it's the same as English. So it makes Chinese reasonably easy to learn in this aspect if you already speak English.
So another example, say I'm playing the piano, you say 我在弹钢琴. So subject, 我弹 is to play, 钢琴, piano.
Or 我吃饭, I eat
Rice.
Or rice. 我吃饭. Okay, so let's move on to another structure. And when Westerners speak Chinese, they often put time words in the wrong place. So for example, in English, if I was going to say, this morning I went to the bank, I could either say, this morning I went to the bank, or I could say, I went to the bank this morning.
So both way works.
Yeah, both way works, no matter whether you put the time at the beginning or the end. But in Chinese, we always put the time at the beginning, don't we?
Yeah, so in Chinese, that would be 今天早上我去银行, which is this morning I went to the bank. Time, subject, verb. Or 我今天早上去银行.
So you can either you always put the time at the beginning of the sentence, either before or after the subject. So the subject is 我. So 我今天早上去银行 or 今天早上我去银行. But you don't say 我去银行今天早上 because that sounds weird.
And it's wrong.
Yeah, it's using English grammar in Chinese.
I have to say that after I moved overseas and started speaking English a lot more, sometimes I would confuse the Chinese sentence structure. So you do have to keep that in mind.
There is even a little bit of this in Taiwan, actually, where they say, oh, you know, there's something, and then they say a time at the end. Particularly when they say 现在, you know, they might add that at the end as kind of an afterthought, which technically is using English grammar.
Yeah, and it's not correct for Chinese.
If you want your authentic Chinese, just make sure you put your time words like 今天早上, 今天, 明天, 昨天, 明年, 去年, at the beginning of the sentence.
That's right.
So now we're going to look at two different ways you can ask questions in Chinese. And the first one, Karen, is?
You just add the character ma at the end of your sentence. Now, that character itself doesn't really have a meaning, but in the dictionary, it just describes it as a question particle. So for example, if I were to ask Ben, are you an American? I would say, Ben, 你是美国人吗?
And so, 你是美国人 is a statement, you are American, and then just add ma at the end of it, and that turns it into a question. So it's like saying, you're American, right? Or are you American? And then to reply, there's not really a yes or no in Chinese. So we just repeat the verb. So the verb in that sentence is 是, the verb to be is. So if I am, I would say 是. And if I'm not, which I'm not,
不是.
I would say 不是. Bu is the negative verb. The negative particle, which negates all verbs except for one, which we're not teaching, so don't worry about that. So generally, bu is the negative word that negates all verbs. So I could use a whole sentence, 我不是美国人.
So there is another type of question which, how do you describe this?
This I call the choice type question because it's kind of like multiple choice, right? So you say, 你是不是美国人? You are or are not 美国人. So you have 是 and you have 不是 immediately afterwards, and the person replying just chooses either 是 or 不是. So we call it choice type question. So Karen, 你是不是美国人?
我不是美国人.
你是不是澳大利亚人?
我是澳大利亚人.
你是不是台湾人?
我是台湾人.
你是不是新西兰人?
我也是新西兰人.
She has 3 citizenships.
I do have 3 citizenships. So with this question structure, you can basically replace the verb with anything like, if you like something, 你喜不喜欢?
That's right. So, but that's a little bit more complicated. So let's explain that in more detail, shall we? So the verb to like is 喜欢, which is a 2-character verb. isn't it? So when we're doing this choice type question with two character verbs, instead of saying 你喜欢不喜欢 whatever, we say
你喜不喜欢 whatever.
So you only
Break
repeat the
it
first
up.
character, don't you?
You can technically also say it the other way. It's not wrong.
You can,
I don't
can't
think.
you? Yeah.
So if
But
you
it's a bit
forget,
of a mouthful.
Yeah. So people normally just say the first character rather than repeat both of them.
So let's give them some example sentences. So Karen, if I was going to say, ask you if you like Sichuan cuisine, I would say 你喜不喜欢川菜?
我不喜欢川菜，
不喜欢？怎么不喜欢？
因为太辣了。It's too spicy.
Girls. You know? Anyway, and then what about 你喜不喜欢王力宏?
王力宏是谁
Only my favorite Taiwanese pop star.
I should feel
Come
ashamed.
on.
I don't know
我依
him.
然爱你。Anyway, yeah. We'll save that for karaoke. Now, let's just give them another example of this. So this structure follows with any two character verbs. So the verb 知道, to know. So if I was to ask you, oh, do you know Wang Lihong? Like, not do you know him personally, but do you know of him, his music or whatever, I would say, so the verb to know is 知道.
知道
So for this structure, you would say,
你知不知道王力宏
yep,
Yeah, so it's actually pretty simple.
yep. So that's two types of questions for you. The ma question, ma turns a statement into a question, and the choice type question, which is kind of like multiple choice. You give them both options and they pick.
Is there a time where you would use one over the other, or is it really interchangeable?
Well, it's reasonably interchangeable, but the ma question has a little bit more certainty about it. It's like, oh, you are this, right? You're kind of like saying, and
You're checking with them.
yeah. The
Yeah.
ma is a little bit more certain that it's positive. Or it could still be negative, but the choice type question is sort of completely 50-50. They could answer either way. That's my understanding anyway.
I think that's usually how people use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the other thing we want to teach you guys how to say is some sentence structures. So we talked about how to ask questions. Now there are some phrases that Chinese people use to convey a particular idea. For example, 因为所以, which is because of something, that's why something happened.
Yeah, so it's like 因为 X, 所以 Y.
Y.
Because of this, then that happened.
Then
So
that happened.
let's give them an example of this. The sentence 因为我很忙，所以我不能去玩。
So Ben just said, because I'm very busy, I can't go out and play.
Now, this sentence is the opposite way around to the way you'd say it in English. Because in English, you'd normally go, oh, I can't go out and play because I'm really busy. But in Chinese,
You give the reason first and then the consequences afterwards.
so it's a very useful sentence. 因为 something, 所以 something else.
So another example would be 因为我很饿，所以我吃饭. So because I'm really hungry, I'm going to eat some food.
Or 因为天气很冷，所以我穿外套. Because the weather is really cold, so I'm going to wear a jacket. And it sounds a little bit of a mouthful in English to say the sentence so completely, doesn't it? If you say, because I am cold, therefore I will wear a jacket. You just say, oh, I'm cold, so I'm going to wear a jacket. But actually in Chinese, it's okay. You just use that sentence structure and it sounds perfectly normal, right?
Yeah, that's how people say it. Because of something, then you do this and that.
It's
Yeah.
very structured. Once you know all these grammar structures, you can use them like building blocks, put them together and say anything there. It's very, very structured. So
That's right.
let's look at this next little, this last grammar structure now.
Basically, it's a repeat of one character, 越, which is even more or even.
Yeah,
越, right?
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
The more.
Yeah, the more or the less, depending on what you use it with. For example, 越听越生气.
The more he listened, the more angry he got. So you can replace the spaces in between with anything. 越 X, 越 Y. So the more something, the more something else.
Or like, if I'm thinking about my birthday, I'll be like, 我越想越高兴. The more I thought about it, the happier I became.
Or 他越运动越渴. Is that right?
Yeah.
Just checking that. So the more he exercised, the more thirsty he got.
So,
So it's like 越 X, 越 Y.
that's all we have today, folks.
That's all we have. So, I realize this this video, you need to be a little bit more advanced to sort of understand this video because we've done quite a lot of vocabulary in it that perhaps total beginners wouldn't know. But if you're kind of past the beginning stage and you want to sort of
Try something more difficult.
yeah, try learning some grammar in a bit more of a structured way and or brushing up on your grammar. This video is for you. And if you like it, please comment below. Tell us if you'd like us to do more of this sort of video, and especially these longer form videos that are like 10 minutes or so long. We'd love to hear your feedback.
Or if there's a particular phrase you want to learn how to say, yeah, let us know in the comments below.
And okay, so that's it. Thanks very much, guys. We'll see you next week.
Bye.
再见. So you seriously don't like Wang Yihong? Are you more of a Jay Chou fan?
I don't like Chinese Asian pop stars. I'm not an Asian pop person.
You don't
I'm
like-
not a pop person.
Oh, what about
Full stop.
Rainy Yang?
I don't know who
You don't
that
think
is.
she's cute?
Yang Chenling ma?
Yeah, I think so.
I know who she is,
Yeah.
but I don't like them, nor do I not like them.
Do you watch TV dramas?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I know
I've been
you
watching,
do.
I
Ben
started-
likes watching Asian dramas,
I watched-
Taiwanese dramas
Yeah,
specifically.
well, no, I'm watching a mainland one now.
Oh,
I'm
really?
watching 爱情公寓.
Ah.
Yeah, I just watched the first episode the other day. It's quite funny, but someone just commented it's basically like a Chinese rip-off of Friends.
Oh, Friends.
And it is kind of like that. And the
Oh.
person who introduced me to it actually really loves Friends, and so I
And
think
that's
that's why
how
she liked that show. But actually, it's pretty funny.
Actually, watching TV or singing songs is actually a really good way to pick up a new language,
Mm.
especially if you have subtitles. So it's a good
Yeah.
reason to watch TV. That's why Ben says he does it, because he can practice his Chinese and get better.
The good thing is that you see, when you learn a lot of vocabulary, you learn it and you don't necessarily know how to put it into sentences.
that's
you
right.
just kind of remember it, so you get like a passive vocabulary. But when you actually see someone use a word you've learned in a full sentence, then you're like, oh, he used it in that way. And then you'll definitely,
And you can try it.
yeah, so you watch a TV show and you see someone use a word that, I learned that word, 拜托, you know, please, right? Please, like this. And then, so in that drama called 福气又安康, he's like, 拜托你, and like, please, come on, man, like, come on, 拜托. So it's like a Taiwanese way of being like, oh, please, come on, man. Yeah,
拜托，拜托，拜托。
yeah.
Yeah.
So that's just an example. You get, I'd encourage people to watch Chinese TV, and